Possibilities? Don't just dream about it. Make it happen. As a Spectrum Internet customer, you get one line of unlimited mobile included for 1 year. Additional lines.
We said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a minivan mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
I'm Jenna Enoch. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. Fear and shock giving way to heartache and pain this morning on the campus of Florida State University. Another 5 are recovering, with 1 man in custody, the son of a deputy sheriff. The accused shooter had people running for cover.
We found some trash cans and some plywood, and we kind of made a little fortress out of it, so we hid behind that.
Contact made with Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man forced out of the U.S. by the Trump administration, even though a court order prevented his deportation back to El Salvador. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen sat with Garcia last night, who's being held at a prison there. Van Hollen did not give specifics about the meeting, saying he'll give a full update later today. New overnight, Secretary of State Marco Rubio making it clear the U.S. will walk away from a Russia-Ukraine peace deal if there's no movement, and fast. Rubio spoke this morning in Paris following meetings with European and Ukrainian leaders. He said President Trump still wants peace, but his patience is running thin. Where he washed the feet of some convicts, commemorating what Jesus did to his disciples at the Last Supper. And that's your Spectrum News in 90.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Weather on the Ones forecast. We're heading into a holiday weekend, and temperatures are going to continue to warm up across the eastern half of the country. Starting today, we're going to reach the low to middle 80s from Raleigh all the way down into the southeastern portions of the country, upper 60s to near 70 up in New York, and we'll be approaching the low 80s in Chicago this afternoon. But across the Rockies and the northern plains, we do have much colder weather and even some snowfall to talk about. We'll break it down for you coming up.
Thank you for joining us on Spectrum News. Gunman killed 2 and injured 5 on campus. The suspect is now in custody and has been identified as 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, an FSU student and son of a sheriff's deputy. He reportedly used his mother's former service weapon for the attack. Officials say campus police shot and captured the suspect. Students and staff are now returning to campus, though still rattled by the situation. One witness said she recalls the shooter who he was, that he was calm when he shot a woman in the back.
That's when I realized there was no target and that it was anybody he could see, and I took off. It still honestly hasn't really settled that those guns were real and people died.
Investigators have not yet revealed a motive for the shooting. Spectrum's Tim Ronca is at the
A lot of people recovering this morning here on campus, still remembering the events that unfolded yesterday. And this morning, I am standing outside of Doak Campbell Stadium, and the famous and iconic Unconquered statue is behind me here at Florida State University. Typically, this is a spot where folks would gather before and after a football game. Unfortunately, today, it's going to be a spot that will be for a vigil later on to remember the victims. Let's take a look at some video and some pictures from yesterday, and I think this really really demonstrates what happened here on campus. This was the scene on Landis Green, not too far from where we are, where students just left behind their belongings in a panic as everything unfolded. And that's not far from the student union, where the shooter opened fire. Now, I'm an alum of Florida State. I even worked at the student union when I was on campus, so I can tell you just how busy the union unfolded. FSU police responded quickly and took the shooter into custody, but not before 2 people were killed and 5 others injured.
This is a deeply emotional time, but we're all here to support each other. We're going to do everything we can to support our community. We're a strong and united community, and we're family, and so we'll take care of all of you. And we'll get through this together. Thank you.
And to that end, there are a lot of things happening for students today. First, classes and all athletic events are canceled. However, the campus will reopen today for students to come back and get their belongings that they may have left behind when the shooting happened yesterday. Volunteers will be available to help those students out. In addition, the Florida State campus is unconquered spirit, and that is something that will help the FSU community get through this difficult time. On scene in Tallahassee at Florida State University, Tim Runka, Spectrum News.
Tim, thanks for that update. A U.S. senator who traveled to El Salvador to meet with a man mistakenly deported to the country has now sat down with him face to face. Spectrum's Angie Gonzalez joins us now with more on that as the court fight over removal continues. Good morning, Angie. What can you tell us about this meeting?
Well, at first, Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen, Jenna, said that he'd been denied entry to the prison where Kilmar Abrego Garcia was reportedly being held, only to get a face-to-face meeting with the 29-year-old later in the day Thursday. Now, there are some photos of that interaction that were posted to social media last night, but said he would provide a debrief upon his return to the U.S. Now, he did write on social media that after the meeting, he called Abrego Garcia's wife to, quote, pass along his message of love. Now, Abrego Garcia's family and his attorneys are locked in this very contentious fight with the Trump administration over the legality of his deportation, which his advocates say was carried out despite a 2019 judge's order that barred his removal to El Salvador. Members of the Trump administration, however, claimed that Abrego Garcia was here illegally and simply deported to his place of birth. Jenna?
Angie, a federal appeals court weighed in on this case on Thursday. So what did they say?
A 3-judge panel unanimously refused a request by the Trump administration to suspend a lower court decision, which orders the government provide sworn testimony on stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without a semblance of due process for weeks. Members of the Trump administration have made the case that Abrego Garcia was a member of the MS-13 gang and was lawfully removed.
I think we did the right thing, and I think it's been litigated by DOJ, and I'll let them fight that out in court or not fight out in court, but I think we did the right thing.
Now, earlier this month, Jenna, the Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration must work to bring Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. Back to you.
Angie, thanks. President Donald Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship has been stopped in its tracks for now. The Supreme Court deferring a request from his administration yesterday, which would have allowed the plan to move forward immediately. Speaking to reporters shortly after the decision, the president seemed fairly confident the court would still rule in his favor.
I am so happy. I think the case has been so misunderstood. Easy case to win.
Despite the pause, the Supreme Court says it is willing to hear oral arguments in the case next month. Those arguments mostly pertain to the Trump administration's request to limit intervening orders made by lower court judges. Secretary of State Marco Rubio making headlines halfway around the world this morning, speaking in France following meetings with European and Ukrainian leaders. He says there must be a peace deal in a matter of days, or the U.S. is ready to walk away from any deal. That means ending support for Ukraine, which has been battered in recent days by Russian attacks. While officials from Ukraine were present at the talks, the country's president did not attend. Coming up on Spectrum News, why one small business is not toying around about
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful. And it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News Plus, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm. Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News Plus, exclusively on Spectrum. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app.
Bring it to the party, bring it to the top, bring it to the party.
Enjoy, unwind, connect with Spectrum TV on Demand. Instantly for you to stream. Create the all-around entertainment experience you've always wanted with Spectrum TV on Demand. Browse over 80,000 on-demand titles today.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Back, everybody. I'm meteorologist from Mel Carpenter with your Weather on the Ones forecast. Made it to the end of the week, and as we head into the Easter holiday weekend, we do have some major changes coming to our weather pattern, especially across the central portions of the United States. Had some active weather across Nebraska and Iowa that led to some tornadoes and some strong to severe thunderstorms producing large hail. And on the colder side of things, we have been dealing with some significant snowfall for some of the higher elevations across Wyoming and up towards Colorado, where temperatures have plunged over as well. These are going to be in effect all the way through at least this afternoon and evening, and perhaps into the day on Saturday as well. So we'll break down the next couple of days across this part of the country where we are going to be dealing with some significant snowfall across the Denver region and into the higher elevations of the Rockies up towards northern New Mexico into Saturday night as well. So we are going to be seeing some wintry weather, but those conditions will start to move out of here just in time for Easter Sunday plans. But temperatures are still going to be on the colder side of things, and snowfall totals will likely amount to around 2 to 3+ feet, especially up towards Colorado and portions of northern New Mexico. We've already seen those snowfall totals at a place like Wyoming throughout the day yesterday as that storm system really got started. So if you're making plans to travel for this holiday weekend, we are looking fantastic for the eastern parts of the United States. We'll see those highs in the low 80s in New York on Saturday afternoon, staying in the middle and upper 80s all weekend long across the Atlanta region and across the staying in the low 80s. Where things are going to be unsettled is going to be in a place like Kansas City, where we're going to have multiple rounds of heavy rainfall and some strong to severe thunderstorms. Temperatures will be in the middle and upper 50s, so keep that in mind. And across the central United States is where things are going to be unsettled as we head into the weekend, which is going to lead to a flash flood threat. We are expecting multiple rounds of heavy rainfall, and we'll break down how much rainfall we could see coming up in 10 minutes on your Weather on the Ones forecast.
Here's a look at what you need to know. 2 are dead, another 5 injured after a mass shooting at Florida State University. 1 person has been placed in custody, the son of a deputy sheriff. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen made contact with Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man forced out of the U.S. by the Trump administration, even though a court order prevented his deportation back to El Salvador. The senator peace deal if there's no movement fast. And that's what you need to know this morning. The Menendez's brothers' long-awaited resentencing hearing has been delayed over a governor's risk report. A Los Angeles judge pushed back the hearing to decide whether the key report on the brothers could be used in the proceedings. The hearing was supposed to begin yesterday. It was the brothers' first chance at freedom in more than 3 decades. Lyle and Eric were jailed for life for murdering their parents back in 1989. The attorney for the Menendez brothers called the prosecution's actions a, quote, dog and pony show. A new hearing is now set for May 9th. Today is Good Friday and Easter is coming up this weekend, but Holy Week looks a bit different for the Catholic Church as Pope Francis
Well, earlier this week, the Pope visited Rome's main prison, meeting with dozens of inmates. It's a Holy Thursday tradition that, even in recovery, Pope Francis kept. But with the busy schedule, this year is still a bit different from previous Holy Weeks. The Vatican is continuing to monitor Pope Francis' health and is expected to make at least some other Easter time appearances over the coming days. Now, we're learning he's continuing to improve over his 5-week hospital stay, but the Vatican is taking it day by day. Now, in recent outings, including on Thursday, you can see Pope Francis is seen without the nasal tubes, which provide him with that supplemental oxygen. It's something Vatican officials say the Pope is increasingly less reliant on. Jenna? How he was doing, especially after the hospital stay, and he responded with, quote, I am living it as I can. Jenna?
Katie, thanks so much. President Donald Trump's trade war with China could hit toy stores the hardest as they begin ordering for the holiday season. Well, the majority of toys in the U.S. are made in China, and many of the places that sell them are small businesses. Spectrum's Ariel Wessler looks at what it means for the industry.
When you're the owner of the oldest toy store in Los Angeles, you've weathered quite a few storms. But when it comes to tariffs,
this is crazy. This is like nothing we've seen before.
Don's father started Kip's Toyland 80 years ago. But with President Trump raising China's latest tariff to 145%, prices could soon soar.
Scrabble, made in China. To at the beginning of April, increase their prices 10%, and the end of April they're going to go up an additional 25%.
Nearly 80% of toys sold in the U.S. are made in China, including a lot of the classics that Kip's Toyland prides itself on selling, which could make holiday shopping this year a lot more expensive.
If you're a small toy shop or a small manufacturer in the States, you might not even have the bandwidth to absorb something like this.
Nintendo recently paused pre-orders on its much-anticipated Switch 2 gaming console due to tariffs, and some retail experts suggest starting your holiday shopping early this year to avoid higher prices.
If you find that perfect gift from now until the holidays, might as well take it and stick it in the attic.
But all the uncertainty makes planning harder on stores and shoppers alike. This tourist was visiting from Maine.
Maybe you'll buy it today, it'll be one price. Maybe you'll buy it tomorrow, it'll be
In the short term, Don is relying on his inventory that's already been shipped. So while nobody, not even this magic 8-ball, can predict the future, Don says he's keeping the store going for his family.
Who doesn't like a whoopee cushion?
And because it's fun. Ariel Wessler.
This is what I think of the tariffs.
Spectrum News.
The country's oldest car exhibition returns. Just ahead on Spectrum News, we'll see how automakers are celebrating despite some concerns over tariffs.
Spectrum News Plus. Across the nation, with balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
Look at this.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together.
Oh, that was funny.
It's all about connecting with seamless connectivity. And internet customers get one mobile line included for 1 year with Spectrum.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. Which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/act now.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Mel Carpenter with your Weather on the Ones forecast. Made it to the end of the week, and as we close out the day on Thursday, we did have some active weather with multiple rounds of severe thunderstorms in parts of the northern plains, specifically around Nebraska and the Iowa region. Around Omaha, we had some tornado reports on the northern side and on the southern side of the city, and National Weather Service teams will be out to survey some of the damage that was reported throughout yesterday evening. But we keep a similar risk for severe thunderstorms across the Great Lakes all the way down through portions of the southern plains, just a level 2 slight risk later this evening and into the overnight hours as well. Slight risk for severe thunderstorms will continue into this holiday weekend as well. Damaging winds, large hail are going to be the primary concerns, but that tornado threat will be around. It is low, but it is not zero, so do not let your guard down. But in Missouri as well, and then similar case again as we get to Easter Sunday. This is going to be mainly across Missouri and Arkansas as a line of thunderstorms finally starts to work its way eastward with this slow-moving cold front. And with this slow-moving cold front, we're expecting multiple rounds of heavy rain. Flooding is going to be more of a concern across Missouri down into Arkansas and Oklahoma as we head into Saturday, and again on Sunday, expecting multiple rounds of heavy rain, which is going to lead to around 4, maybe even 5 inches of rainfall in parts of Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, which is where we have current flash flood watches in effect through Sunday evening for these areas in green, and not necessarily ideal given the amount of rainfall we've picked up over the last couple of weeks. We're still dealing with cresting rivers across the Mississippi River Valley and into western Kentucky as well. So certainly not ideal, especially if you have plans to be out and about for the Easter holiday weekend. Across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, dealing with some wet weather early on Saturday morning. Today morning, we're going to be dealing with heavy rainfall across Oklahoma all the way into portions of St. Louis and the Missouri region as well. We'll finally see that front start to work its way eastward as we get into early next week, but unfortunately this is going to be bringing some impacts to any weekend plans you may have. So let's talk rainfall totals. We're going to see most of that rainfall setting up across portions of central and southern Missouri, getting up to around 3 to 4, maybe even 5 inches locally in some of those areas, but even over towards the Ohio Valley, parts of Indiana, down towards Illinois could easily see over 2 inches of rainfall by the time we get towards Sunday, and finally seeing that front shift to the east early next week.
The National Weather Service will head out today to look at damage caused by several suspected tornadoes. This is just one of them that touched down last night after dark, so the true extent of destruction will become known later today. Today's stormy weather will be along a line from west central Texas to the lower peninsula of Michigan. Starting today, cars of the future will be fully on display at the New York International Auto Show. Amidst a celebration, there's still some talk about the recently imposed tariffs. Spectrum's Chris Welch has reaction from industry leaders about how they're navigating a potential bumpy road.
At this year's New York International Auto Show, the coolest cars are on full display.
Introducing the all-new 2026 Subaru Trailseeker.
But tariffs are casting a shadow over the excitement.
You know, it's almost like cognitive dissonance. There is what you see at the auto show is cutting edge.
John Bozzella is the CEO of the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, a trade group that represents nearly all major automakers. He wants more jobs in the United States, but says the White House needs to give the industry time to adapt.
The challenge is the policymakers around the president have to figure out how to do this in a way that allows the industry time to move supply chains and time to move production.
It's a message that is already on the mind of President Donald Trump, who hinted at possibly pausing the 25% tariff to relocate production. Anderson Economic Group predicts the levies could increase the cost of a smaller vehicle by $2,500 to $4,500, and imported luxury cars could cost up to $20,000 more.
How much or if the prices are going to rise, we're hoping that there's going to
International Auto Show, who says the industry fuels the economy.
Our industry employs so many people. We're such an economic bellwether of the economy.
He's confident manufacturers won't pump the brakes too quickly, and a representative for Hyundai agrees.
Auto industry as a whole is such a great community that everyone kind of pulls together, and I think everyone just kind of puts their heads together and sees what we can do as partners, you know, competing in the industry together.
Even though consumers are not sure if now is the best time to buy a car, perhaps window shopping the auto show is the ideal solution. Still, history has proven that it will take a lot more for the industry to run out of fuel.
The whole industry closed for the military effort during World War II. We just went through COVID. We had computer chip shortages. We had a pandemic that impacts.
Thanks for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
It's game time at the arena. fast and share the game's best moments in real time. And with Spectrum Business committed to keeping them connected 100% of the time, they won't miss a second of the action. A secure, reliable connection from Spectrum Business means the fan experience is a guaranteed win.
Sometimes in life, in order to move forward, it helps to look back. To learn from the pioneers and trailblazers.
To gain inspiration from those who came before us.
To show us what it means to act with empathy and to show that love has no labels.
Join WWE and Love Has No Labels throughout the year in celebrating people from all communities and heritages.
Because when love has no labels, that's a love we can all fight for.
Women are bad with money.
It's time to save ourselves by saving our money.
Until we're no longer 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
Save it. The falsehoods, the feelings of fault.
Then, the funds. Learn how to save for your retirement at WeSaySaveIt.org.